I was listening to a TED Talk about sugar today. It was very poorly done. They did try by completely defining sugar as the white crystalline production from sugar cane or beets. The person talking went on to say, we'd rather you eat healthy fruits and vegetables. But there are a whole lot of people out there that say, oh my God, no, fruit has sugar in it. That has to stop. It's just making a mess. Number 1, define carbohydrates. Number 2, define crystalline cane sugar. Number 3, fruits and vegetables are different. They're very different. So the next problem was the woman was talking about the obesity epidemic. And yes, it is very true that children these days, young people these days, have not gotten the amount of exercise that the rest of us did that older people did when we were young. We ate tons of sugar when we were young. The stuff we put on cereal and Kool-Aid alone, aside from all the additives. So it's also been proven that there's a genetic component left over from the Great Depression that contributes to the obesity epidemic and a promiscuous abuse of antibiotics. Farmers give antibiotics to farm animals daily, even though we all know that antibiotics don't work that way. Why do they do it? Because they end up with gigantic farm animals. I used to be mad that my mother would not give us pills when I was sick. And she said, no, those pills do not kill viruses, and what you have is a virus. So now that I'm older, I'm very thankful that my mother did not give us antibiotics for viruses. That is plain stupid. You just plug yourself full of antibiotics at every turn. So, number 1, children are snacking more. Number 2, children are exercising less. Number 3, parents are abusing antibiotics. And number 4, there is a genetic component. So then they went on to talk about soda and the amount of sugar calories in soda, and completely ignore the fact that soda has a phosphoric acid or something, one of the phosphori. It disintegrates your bones. So the only talk about sugar, but not about bone disintegration. Soda does not rot your teeth. It disintegrates your jawbone, and then your teeth fall out. You just don't notice it in the same way with the rest of your bones. Also, sodas contain about 5 times more salt than you need. So to only discuss the amount of sugar in soda is truly myopic and problematic. So then she talks about non-nutritious calories. That is a sheer luxury. Only people who have plenty of food can say, oh, these calories don't have as much for me. Starving people would love some. You will not die if you eat sugar. You will die if you only drink water. You will starve to death. You will not starve to death if you have cane squeezings. You will starve to death if you eat just aspirin or just caffeine. They are non-nutritious. Sugar is not empty calories. It's low in vitamins and fiber. Empty calories is strictly a first world problem. So the whole discussion about sugar is truly full of holes. Discussing sugar as an addiction is also a problem. There are only 2 chemicals your brain sends out to tell you to eat. One is for fat and one is for carbohydrates. And that includes the carbohydrate that is well known as alcohol. Your brain does not have a chemical to send out to tell you to eat protein. If you know when to eat protein, thank your parents for raising you carefully. So alcohol cravings are just a version of sugar cravings. When people don't eat enough, the brain does this constant chemistry to get you to stick anything into your face so that you don't die. So no, sugar is not an addiction. Just like air is not an addiction. Water is not an addiction. Sleep is not an addiction. When people try to go longer than 4 hours without eating a meal, the brain starts sending out chemicals. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner is an idea that's out of date. Eat meals at 8, noon, 4, and 8.